Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax. Okay, we are talking about a very politically divisive topic. I honestly don't care. I don't have strong opinions. I'm literally just stating what I see in the world, what I have heard from both straight and gay men. And if that annoys you or frustrates you or is something that I relay you strongly disagree with, cool. I get it. It's not my opinion. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm been told by people. So if you have a problem with the way the world's going, don't we all? Don't we all? And I'm very sorry about that. However, I'm talking today about why a lot of gay men, and specifically young gay men, are moving more politically right. They're moving more conservative, more traditional, and I wanted to maybe explain from these men's perspective. I'm pretty much politically homeless. Like, I detest left-wing politics. I detest right-wing politics for very different reasons, but I really just hate politics, okay? So don't come for me. This is just what I've seen and what people are saying to me. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to touch on is probably Gen Z and basically our whole bag of tricks. So if you don't know, Gen Z is like roughly from like 95, 96, 97 until like 2010, something like that. Like the metric shifts, but it's young people today, people in their 20s, people just leaving high school, entering college, that kind of thing. We've grown up in a very, very interesting world. We grew up during obviously the COVID pandemic. The 2008 financial crisis had a huge impact on all of us. Technology, social media, oh my gosh. We all had phones way too young, and we even look at the generation coming up, like the iPad kids, and we're like, those guys are so cooked. Like they are done. But anyway, technology had a huge role in our upbringing. Information constantly being bombarded with videos and clips from around the world. It was much harder to sort of live in a political bubble in some ways growing up. I think the political bubbles are coming back with a vengeance. However, young people and young men in particular have grown up with this huge spotlight on the world and what is going on in the world. And, it's very hard to hide a video. AI will change all of this, but that's neither here nor there. We have grown up during the Trump and Obama thing. It seems like there's this giant feud between those two men, and they represent completely polar opposites of the way of life, how you should live your life, how you should view the world, why we're here. Like, these two men seem to have shaped a huge amount of the world's political ideology, and I think they have a definite role in what people think. Okay. Next thing, gay and, LGBTQIA plus rights in general. This is probably the main focus that I'm going to be talking about today, but we have seen in Western societies a huge acceptance of, it's okay to be gay, and people are still very much coming to terms with transgender and many of the other queer identities. However, gay marriage exists in a lot of countries now, not the majority of countries, but a lot of the countries that we find ourselves living in. And the perception of gay people has changed dramatically. I feel like we're almost at a level of normalcy, like a lot of people don't even blink twice when you tell them that you're gay. Some people obviously are still insane and, ridiculous, but on the whole, gay people are largely accepted in Europe, North America, and Oceania, like Australia, New Zealand. Everywhere else, obviously, it's still a very big struggle, and people face discrimination, and it's not fun whatsoever. Next thing, Gen Z has seen this huge religious resurgence, and I don't know, maybe non-religious people don't know this. Like, I'm a religious person. Like, I have a mix of spirituality and faith, but Christianity is one of the cornerstones of my belief system. And if you don't know, like, young people are going back to church, young people are really falling into traditional values. I think part of it is that they feel as though the future is insane and kind of cooked. And so, in times of crisis, in times of despair, people kind of crowd to religion. And we're seeing young people sort of flock to this traditional structured value system in droves, and especially young men. We're seeing young men become a lot more conservative. Obviously, the return of Donald Trump, young men in the United States were a huge factor in his reelection campaign and why he won. He was on podcasts like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan. And I'll be honest, I watched both of them and they were very interesting to me. Whether, my opinion on Trump, I think it's pretty clear what my opinion on Trump is, but, however, young men clearly wanted to support him and found those avenues to support him and get him into the presidency. And so now that we've got this context of technology, of gay rights, of the return of conservative values, I want to specifically talk about gay men. And I feel like this is the part where most of the people watching this will kind of roll their eyes or start making a comment. But again, I really want to stress, these are not my values. Like, these are not my perspectives. These are things I've been told by other gay men, by straight men, by just the general culture shift, watching the talking heads on YouTube talk politics and stuff. This is not really where I want to be. I don't like politics. I don't like discussing it. And I'm sure people have their opinions on me even saying that. However, young gay men feel as though they are being left behind in the LGBTQIA community. You might find that very offensive, but it's true. That's just what they feel. It's the same way how, young straight men feel as though they're being left behind. They're less likely to go to college. They're less likely to, succeed in life. And this is all their perceived, whether it's actually what's happening. That's another question I don't care about. But I'm telling you, young men and young gay men perceive themselves as having less of an influence, less of a say, less agency in their own lives. And because of that, they are turning to different avenues, different communities, and different support structures in order to find meaning, value, and at the end of the day, a place in society. So now, I think a huge part of this, in terms of gay men becoming more conservative, has a lot to do with the LGBTQIA community as a whole. I think after gay marriage became legalized in the United States, in places like Canada, I think the shift and the focus in the community largely turned to trans issues and trans rights. And a lot of young gay men do not like this. They do not approve of it. They have stigma and stereotypes that they have carried over. And I know you would think that young gay men would have some empathy and some sympathy for people struggling with something different, but similar in the fact that, you can't choose to be gay. You are wrong. You would be wrong about that. I think a lot of young gay men, a lot of men in general, find the trans issue very divisive, very emotive. Political pundits have done a really good job of making it an issue, whether they're talking about people who are underaged or surgery or hormone therapy. Political pundits have made it very good material for getting people emotionally invested in one way or the other. And unfortunately, I think a lot of young gay men have not necessarily drank the Kool-Aid, but they've looked at the situation and they've come down with a verdict that seems counterintuitive to being gay. It seems counterintuitive for a gay person who has grown up like having to come out of the closet and deal with the adversities. It seems counterintuitive that they come down on this issue and go, no, we don't support them. You kind of go like, what? What do you mean? Like, the closet is glass. Like, what are you talking about? However, this is their opinions. This is the stuff that they've told me. Like, they don't agree with those ideas. I think there's also this rejection of Pride Month, Pride parades. I myself have never been to a Pride parade. It's not because I reject them or don't believe in them or whatever, but I've never been to one, but I can tell you that my perception of it is not all rainbows and butterflies. I have seen clips, and this goes back to the whole technology thing. I've seen clips from Pride parades where, you know, I would not want to be in that situation. I wouldn't want to be involved in it whatsoever. I've seen great clips. I've seen very supportive things, but I've seen enough of the potential like downsides to just not really like want to go to them, you know? Like before I think I was ambivalent, but now I don't really think I need to go to a Pride parade. And I think young men are starting to kind of reject this idea of Pride and the celebration and going into like the history of Pride and the gay rights movement. That's becoming a lot less common for young gay men. And I want to quickly address something that I think will be comments in this video. And this is the idea of like privilege or white privilege or like cis male privilege within the LGBT community, because it's something that gets talked about a lot and it's something that people often throw at me as well. And I want to quickly address it. So there's this idea that inside the LGBT community, white, cis, straight acting gay men are kind of like, they're like the straight man of the world, you know, like everyone hands them everything. They can hide in public super easily. They face less discrimination than other groups within the LGBT community. And I don't disagree with any of that. I think that straight acting white gay men probably do get the best treatment within the gay community and not within the gay community, within the wider community, the wider world of general. However, in the gay community, it's either you love them or you hate them, you know? And I think it's a very difficult thing to talk about, especially as a straight acting, I hate that word, gay man who is white. But I think it needs to be addressed, because that is just that idea of like, oh, you're a straight white man, like you can't talk about these issues within the gay community. Like you need to check your privilege and let others talk. That's exactly why you're losing straight acting gay men. That is exactly why you're losing them. When you tell someone within your own community, sorry, your opinions matter less, your agency matters less, you are privileged, you must identify your privilege. As soon as you do that, you kind of end the conversation. You kind of like completely stop the whole conversation in its tracks. And as a result, a lot of the gay white men are moving more conservative. They're saying, you know what, I don't identify with this community because this community doesn't have my back. This community is not interested in hearing from me. So why would I identify as it? The number of gay men that I know who no longer identify as gay, they're like, no, I'm not gay. Like, I might like dudes, but I'm not part of that community. I know so many of these guys, and they aren't these like racist, homophobic jerks that are painted online. They're just normal dudes who realize that they have very little in common with a community that kind of hates on them. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I'm not some crazy right winger or some crazy left winger. I have eyes and I can like see what's going on. And so I don't blame these guys for it. I have my own opinions, but I can understand why they have come to this conclusion. Again, not my thing. I'm very proud to be gay. I'm very proud to be part of a history of Stonewall and ancient Greece and surviving the Hays Code and understanding the nuances there. Like I'm very up to date on my history and my place in this community, but I can tell you exactly why these young, white, gay men are getting more conservative. And it's for the reasons that I've just stated. So I don't really know, like I'm not asking anybody to like check their privilege or to, extend an olive branch to these men, because I think these men are gone. Like I think these men are done. They're like, we're not gay, leave us alone. We're gonna go do our thing. Maybe we'll get married to a dude, maybe we won't, but we no longer identify with the LGBT community, and they're never gonna identify again. So whether you like it or not, like these people are gone. These people are out of the community, and I think that's a shame, because these people had obviously agency and a voice, and it'd be great if they, stood in the same community as us. But I guess we've lost them because of many of these factors. Some of them are our own fault. They're an own goal. Some of them we had no control over or agency over. Anyway, this was like a very rudimentary introduction to this topic. If your comments are, constructive enough and interesting enough, I will do a second part on this, and we will dive deeper into this topic, because I think it's really important. And I think the number of young gay men leaving the LGBT community and no longer identifying with it is only growing. So I think it's an interesting topic. I think the older generation will have some far more interesting thoughts than I will have on this. Like I honestly think if you are over the age of 40, please let me know what you think. Like, please don't be mean. Like, please understand where I'm coming from. I'm just trying to relay what I've seen. But if you're over the age of 40, I would love to know what you think about this idea that, younger men and gay men in general are becoming more conservative. Like, I'm fascinated as to what you think, because you guys have seen so much more than me, and you know so much more than me. And I think you will have far more wisdom about where this is all going than I do. So thank you for bearing with me. I really appreciate you guys spending the time. If you're still listening, you are amazing. And if I'm just like so worried that people will watch this, they'll watch like 6 minutes of it, and then they'll just write in the comments like, "You're a fascist." And I'm like, no, honey, like I am so not. Like I am so gay. I am so gay in the best way possible. So if you watch the whole video, I have no problem with you commenting whatever you feel. But to those who only watched like 2 or 3 minutes, they're gone now. But I don't care what they think. Like, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, week, month, year, whatever you're having. I truly hope it's amazing. I hope you're staying safe out there. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.